In this video, I am going to be solving some questions related to transformation matrices. Now, I'm basically going to be solving full-length transformation questions, and when we're doing that, we're going to come across some parts which require us to use transformation matrices, and that is how I'm going to cover that very important concept. Okay, so this is a question from October-November 2018, paper 2, variant 2, and let's get straight to it. So it says here, triangle A is drawn on the grid, all right. Triangle P, transformation P, sorry, is represented by the matrix -2, 0, 0, -2. P maps triangle A onto triangle B. Draw and label triangle B. All right, so there are two ways to approach this question, okay. One is that you take the vertex, you take the coordinates of the vertices of this triangle, okay, all three vertices, and you multiply them by -2, 0, 0, -2, or if you really understood transformation matrices, I would suggest not to do that, okay. Why? Because it's going to take a lot of time, and when you're multiplying matrices, it's likely that you will make an error, okay. I mean, it's not likely that you'll make an error, actually wrong choice of words. What I mean is that since it requires a lot of working, the chances of making an error will be relatively higher, okay. Now, an easier way to do this question is, and it's of 2 marks, so I mean, honestly, you shouldn't be doing a lot of working for this, okay. So an easy way to do this question is that you look at the matrix, which is -2, 0, 0, -2. You realize what the transformation this matrix is representing, and you apply that transformation, okay. Now, I know that sounds easier said than done, but it actually becomes easier given that you have a solid understanding of transformation matrices, okay. So this matrix looks very similar to K, 0, 0, K. And what exactly does this matrix represent? What transformation does this matrix represent? It represents enlargement with K as your scale factor. So this basically means that all I need to do to triangle A in order to obtain triangle B is to enlarge it by scale factor -2. And we all know what happens, and center origin, by the way. And we all know what happens when you have to enlarge a triangle with center origin as any scale factor. All you got to do is you got to take the vertices and multiply it by the scale factor, which in this case is -2. So 2, 1, what I multiplied by -2 is going to become -4 and -2. Right, so there you go. And then 3, 1 is going to become -6 and -2, and 2, 3 is going to become -4 and -6, and there you have it. We have successfully applied this matrix and obtained triangle B. Once you've drawn it, make sure that you label it also, and there you go, 2 marks in the bag. The next part says describe fully the single transformation. Now, we've already understood what this transformation is, okay, so this shouldn't be too difficult. So this transformation is basically enlargement. Now, if you've said enlargement, you need to describe what the scale factor is and what the center is. So scale factor -2 and center origin. Done. Write down the ratio of triangle A is to the area of triangle B. Okay, so when you've enlarged a triangle, what you get as a result is a triangle similar to the previous one. So in short, triangle A and triangle B are basically 2 similar triangles. And when that happens, when you have 2 similar triangles, you can use the formula A1 upon A2. Let me write that down over here. A1 upon A2 is equals to L1 upon L2, the whole thing square, where L1 and L2 are basically lengths, corresponding lengths of the 2 triangles respectively. So we have to take length of triangle A as the numerator and length of triangle B in the denominator. So I'm going to take the base, which is 1, and I'm going to take the base of triangle B, which is 2. So all I need to do is 1 upon 2, the whole thing square, which means 1 upon 4, or if you want to give this in ratio, it becomes 1:4. Now, one way of doing this would have been to calculate the axial areas and then dividing them and giving them as a ratio in its simplest form. So that's also totally acceptable. Okay, here's part B. Part B says transformation Q is represented by the matrix 1, 0, 0, -1. Q maps B onto C. Draw and label triangle C. Okay, again, one way of doing this would be to multiply all the vertices of triangle B with this particular matrix, and another would be to actually identify what this transformation, this matrix is representing, and then applying that. And you know, I'm going to use that approach. So how exactly do we identify what this matrix is representing? Well, the way to do that is fairly simple. It does require a lot of practice, don't get me wrong. So here's what you need to do. Our starting points are always 1, 0 and 0, 1, right? 1, 0 and 0, 1, right? Here's A and here's B. Let's write that down. A, B, 1, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so now because of some transformation, we don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out eventually. What happened is that I'll use a different color for this. Okay, A remained exactly where it was. Okay, nothing happened to A, but B somehow ended up at 0, minus 1. Okay, now what you got to do is you got to stop and think. When exactly does this happen? A remains as it is, that means it's the invariant point, and B moved downwards exactly the same distance it was upwards from the x-axis. So that basically means it is a reflection along the x-axis, and that is exactly why nothing happened to it, because it was on the x-axis, and as we know, in reflection along the x-axis, all the points lying on the x-axis are invariant. I think I've said x-axis way too many times, but yeah, you get the point. So what happens is that A prime and B prime are, nothing happens to A, and B prime turns out to be 0, minus 1. So now we know very well that this matrix is basically representing reflection along the x-axis. Again, I've said x-axis. Okay, so what that basically means is that what exactly do I need to do to triangle B in order to get triangle C? I need to reflect it along the x-axis. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go back, I'm going to look at triangle B, I'm going to see its coordinates, and I'm going to reflect them along the x-axis. Now, reflecting any point or an object along the x-axis is quite easy. All you got to do is you just got to change the sign of the y coordinate. So minus 4 and minus 2 is going to become minus 4, positive 2. Minus 6 and minus 2 is going to become minus 6 and positive 2. And minus 4 and minus 6 is going to become minus 4 and positive 6. And there you have it, folks. We have successfully obtained triangle C. And once you've done that, make sure that you label it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. There you go. Okay, now part C is a slightly different question. We haven't encountered questions like these at all. So it says transformation Y is represented by the matrix 1, 0, 0, 3. Now you may be thinking, okay, what does that mean? We've never seen a matrix that looks like this. And you're right, you're absolutely right. And you don't even need to know what this matrix represents. Okay, I'll tell you why. So according to this question, Y, which is this transformation, maps A onto D. You need to find the matrix that represents the transformation that maps triangle D onto triangle A. So what this basically means is that this matrix takes A and turns it into D. You need to come up with the matrix that when it's applied to D, it brings it back. Okay, now let me tell you what I mean. So let's say we have a number 5. When I multiply it by 3, I get 15. Now if I ask you, what should I multiply 15 by so I can bring 5 back? Okay, so what exactly am I asking? 15 times 3 is 15. Sorry, 5 times 3 is 15. I'm looking for a number that I can multiply 15 with so I can get 5 back. Okay, that means I need to multiply it by 1 over 3. Okay, and 1 over 3 is basically what, if you think about it, is basically the inverse of 3. Okay, 3 to the power minus 1 is 1 over 3. So here's how this works. So we have Y, which when we apply to, which is when it's applied to A, gives us D. All right, so what we'll actually, it's better if I write it like this. Okay, so a nicer way of looking at it would be that A, when undergoes transformation Y, turns into D. Now what we're looking for is that what transformation should D undergo so that we can get A back, and the answer to that would be Y inverse. So that means all you got to do is, in short, find the inverse of this particular matrix, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now if you remember the formula for calculating the inverse, that's great. If you don't, nothing to worry about. I'll write it over here. 1 upon AD minus BC dA minus B and minus C. Okay, so 1, 0, 0, 3. Now let's find out the inverse of this. Remember, this is Y, and we're looking for Y inverse. So 1 times 3 is 3. So 0 times 0 is 0. So 3 minus 0 will remain 3. And A and D are going to swap places. And B and C, we need to change the signs of them. So nothing really happens because they're both 0. So this becomes 1 upon 3 times 3, 0, 0, 1. If you really want, if you want, you can multiply all the elements by 1 upon 3, but it makes no difference to your final answer. You can write it as this also. Totally acceptable. 1 upon 3 times 3, 0, 0, 1. And there you have it. I hope this concept is understood well by all of you. And that's all for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care.